Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to Allotment of the Dead. Short while ago, I asked the question, what do I do with 5 kilograms of tomatoes? So, one of the things that we can do is with what we've got here. So, let me just show you this. So, this is a machine that comes in really, really handy when you've got quite a lot of the produce. Allows you to do so many different things. So this is a dehydrator, and what we'll be doing today is turning some of these tomatoes into sun-dried tomatoes, or in this case dehydrator dried tomatoes, which will then store under oil, and that'll be great for Christmas and into the new year. So we've separated a lot of the larger, fleshier tomatoes out, and we'll be preparing those for the dehydrator. So let's give that a go. Okay, we've got just a couple of ingredients for this. I think we've got a few fruit flies kicking around here for some reason. I think it's probably because of these tomatoes. So we'll just make sure we can try and keep the fruit flies out of everything. Nature, wonderful thing. Anyway, so just a few ingredients with this particular technique. So some nice fleshy tomatoes. So we've got some of the red strawberry variety. Didn't realise they were going to get to quite this size. And we have some Crimson Crush, again quite a nice tomato. And this one's called Dr. Wick's Yellow. So again, quite a nice fleshy tomato. So we'll try each of these on the dehydrator and see how they get on. The other thing we've got is basil from last year, some dried basil. Again, we dried the basil on the dehydrator, and some salt. Okay, so we'll make a start in slicing these tomatoes. So you want about 1 millimeter or so thick, no more. Basically because they dry out a lot easier if you have some nice, relatively thin slices. Again, try and get a nice sharp knife to help you. So I've given the blade here a sharpen before I've started. And taken some nice millimeter or so thin slices. The ends are always going to be a little bit thicker. Ironically, this is one of the techniques that we used when I was doing my degree, doing dissection of body parts and things as part of my anatomy course. So these things always come in handy. So once you've taken them, so the end bits aren't always great. These end bits don't generally dehydrate quite so well. So we'll put these onto the dehydrator, nicely spaced. Okay, and then we'll go on to the next one. See again, these nice yellow tomatoes are nice and fleshy. There's a bit of the moist tomato areas, but you have that added large fleshy areas, which will go really, really nice when they get dehydrated. So again, try and We've washed all these before we've gone. Try and leave the bits out that are blemished or broken or look diseased. I know there's been a lot of blight going around at the moment, so try and leave those bits out of this process. That way you're guaranteed a better result at the end of it. Okay. So that's the first layer. So what we'll do, just give my hands a bit of a dry for the tomato juice, and we'll give them a little sprinkling of salt and a little bit of basil. Again, don't need to go overboard. Once you've got the dehydrator going, this smell will permeate through all of them at each of the layers. So that's your first layer done. So first layer is looking nice. Okay, we're on to the second layer. Again, get some nice big fleshy tomatoes for this. And again, you want around a millimetre or so thick. The end result will be a lot better. That's a bit thick. Okay. Try and cut that one down a little bit. So this next tomato, it's kind of a nice weird colour to it. So this is called a barred boar tomato. So I got this one from Baker Creek Seeds in the United States. Quite a few varieties of tomatoes I've got from there again this year, of different beefsteak kind of tomatoes. The Wicks yellow one was from there as well. So again, you get that nice kind of colour in the middle of it. I think using different varieties might pass on a different taste to these dried tomatoes. We'll see what the end result tastes like. Okay. I was going to say, just to ensure that you keep the deformed, I say deformed, the ones with blemishes and things, we keep them away from the process. So looks like this one is a multi-tomato. Looks like a couple have grown in together. And again, take out the stalks, and you can slice them as you would anything else. Okay. Mind the fingers. You want to try and choose your tomatoes that are still nice and firm. They're less likely to disintegrate when you're trying to slice them. You get some nice, I say nice, that's quite thick, but again we'll see how it goes. You get some nice tomatoes, right. Have you noticed as I've been doing this, I've been leaving quite a bit of space around each one, just so that they're not overlapping. Lets the air flow through the dehydrator a little better. Just aids in that process. Okay. Okay, so just the final sprinkling of the basil. Basil and tomatoes really go well together. And one last sprinkling of salt. Okay, so we're ready to start it up. Okay, so the dehydrator is all now nicely loaded, and plenty of salt and basil on each of the layers, just to get that taste going through them. And so we'll make a start on getting this going. So very simple to use these. On and off switch is set a temperature, in which case we want 50 degrees centigrade, and this one here is the number of hours. So they usually say between about 8 and 10 hours dehydration, for tomatoes. So what we'll do is we'll come back halfway through the process, and we'll see what they're looking like. And what we want is something that's quite pliable, not really with all of the juice taken out of them, because they can get quite brittle, and you kind of lose that chewiness which you want in the final product. So we'll come back shortly and we'll have another look. So as you can hear, it's quite a quiet machine when it's going, which is a good thing really, because the last thing you want it is if you put something like this on overnight, the last thing you want it doing is waking you up in the night. These turn themselves off when they're finished, so completely safe. And you can just start to see some of the fluids coming out as the top started steaming up a little bit. Okay.
Some time later.
Okay, the tomatoes have had about 4 hours now. So what we'll do is we'll turn them over. They're already starting to get a bit sticky, like sun-dried tomatoes get. Oh, well stuck. Okay. You find the ones on the bottom layer will tend to stick a bit quicker. They'll tend to dry a bit quicker as well. Okay. Right. So we'll move the top one to the bottom. You see these are a little bit more fresh, a little bit less dried than the ones that are on the bottom layer. Okay, so these were that really nice tomato, the red barred ball, and that really nice colour still with it.
The next morning.
Okay, morning guys. So this is the next morning, and it looks like not all of these tomato slices have dried sufficiently. So what we'll do is we'll put these back on again for another maybe couple of hours. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So these have had about 10 hours or already. So as you can see, the drying process is quite an extended period of time. Okay, so these have had about 12 hours now, and quite a few of them are ready. So we'll take the lid off. We can show you that they've got that nice kind of almost elasticity to them. So dehydrated, and they've kind of most of the water's gone in them. So these will then be able to use for the sun-dried tomatoes. So we've got this nice jar here, and what we'll do, see a nice little jar I picked up today from TK Maxx. Just kind of a Halloweeny feel, but again that kind of autumn feel about it. So what we'll do is we'll layer the tomatoes that are ready into the bottom of this, and if you'll see, there is some that aren't quite dry enough. So what we'll do is we'll give them a little bit more extra time. As you can see, we'll layer it up. So what we'll do as well, we'll add some garlic to the layers. Okay, so still a couple of layers left that need a little bit longer. So we'll put it on again. Again, 50 degrees. And we'll put it on for a couple of hours. It probably won't need that long. Okay, and that will start again. So this is our layers of tomatoes, and what we'll get is a nice, good quality virgin olive oil, and then we'll pour that onto the tomatoes. So this has got that added bonus that once the tomatoes have been eaten, salads or on pizzas, whatever you want to use them for, the oil can then be used as a tomato oil. Okay, so when those are finished, we'll put those into the jar and we'll top it up. Okay. What we do need to do is make sure, give them all a bit of a move, just to make sure there's no air pockets in there, which might cause some of these to go off. Okay, so we'll come back to that shortly, and we'll add the rest of the tomatoes to it. So we'll seal that for now. Okay, it's looking good already. Okay. We'll see you in a couple of more hours. Hopefully the rest of these will be ready. See you in a minute. Okay, so there's the end result of the dehydration. So nice big jar of dehydrated tomatoes, the equivalent of sun-dried tomatoes. So they'll be nice for over the winter period, over Christmas.